A new year and a new business. Well, many entrepreneurs decide to take the plunge on their startup at the turn of the year, but many struggle to find the right type of financing to progress. Richard Muirhead is with us, General Partner at Open Ocean Capital. I was struggling to think of a business model over Christmas. I did put my mind to it, but I didn't come up with one, but a lot of other people did. And just so you have something that you think is worth giving a go, what would your first stop be in terms of funding? Is it crowdfunding? Because to me that seems the most obvious, the most accessible to a lot of people.
That's a very good question, obviously. I mean, I think before you go out and seek funding, I think you need to be well prepared for that process. And my recommendation would be, especially in the tech sector, that you're thinking extremely big about the problem that you can solve, that you're focusing on probably a personal problem, or rather a problem that you've experienced personally, and start small with that, and then move extremely fast. And I think if you do all of those things, you've got the best chance of probably attracting people around you to be successful, and you're going to be prepared. It's going to be a very long journey for you. But in terms of the exact source of funding, I think there's been incredible progress in the UK in terms of the venture capital funding that's been made available over the last 5 years. It's increased fivefold, in fact, to about $3.5 billion. Nonetheless, only about 10% of what you see in the States. And London is definitely the epicenter both of the UK and of Europe in terms of that activity. And the difference between venture capital funding and crowdfunding is that in one you've got a professional investor who's seeking a really outsized return, ideally something along the lines of Uber. Whereas in crowdfunding there can be a lower expectation of the return. And crowdfunding is particularly suited to easily understandable propositions. If you went and said, I've got the next greatest blockchain routing device on a crowdfunding site, they would probably not do so well in terms of raising money. But if you went with a consumer-facing proposition, something along the lines of a food or perhaps returning to good health after a pregnancy, that would do much better, and I think it's a good way to go.
Just picking up on your first comment, it seems to me there's an element of test marketing there, no matter what you're doing, taking a product or a device or a service or a gap in the market and seeing whether it works first is the first strategy for a new entrepreneur.
Absolutely. Going back to that point, you want to be able to think big, but start small and think about something that has a real pain attached to it, and go out and test it. And in contrast to 20 years ago, which is when I first sort of moved into this space and started starting software companies, there's a lot more accepted management science or science and methodology around how to do this, and you can go and find the books out there, notably The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. And so you can go and test that proposition and get data behind it so that you don't waste a long time barking up the wrong tree, frankly.